these employees don't take almost any time off. Like they take maybe half and that's it. So moving on, it says, but being offered time off and actually taking it are two different things. So Erico, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this word, so I'm just going to try and sound it out using what I know of phonics. So Saguchi, breaking it down, Saguchi, I think. Since it's not important to the overall meaning of the text, it doesn't really matter that much, so I'm just going to skip it and just say the first letter. So Erico S., age 36, took only 8 of her 20 paid vacation days in 2014. And Saguchi is not alone. On average, Japanese workers take 9 days off a year, barely half the personal days allotted to them. Again, remember that you're circling words or phrases if you do not know the definition, or any confusion if you get confused. Paragraph 5, why don't more Japanese workers take the time off to which they are entitled? Part of the reason may be that some workers are apprehensive about the reaction of their companies and their co-workers.
What does apprehensive mean?
Good. So if you don't know what a word means, you might want to stop and try and figure it out.
That means like to understand something, right?
Well, let's see. So some different strategies we can use. What can we do? We don't know what apprehensive means. What should we do to figure it out? What are some steps?
I'll reread the sentences and then see like how it makes sense and like what it means.
Excellent. So we can use context clues. So let's read this sentence and see if maybe there's any clues to what it might mean. So apprehensive. Says part of the reason may be that some workers are apprehensive about the reaction of their companies and their co-workers as it has become the norm not to take vacation days. So let's think about that. If it's normal to not take any time off of work, how could that maybe give us an idea of what apprehensive might mean?
It means
They
like
feel neutral.
They feel what?
Neutral. Like
Neutral?
They're not caring.
Okay.
Since they're used to that.
So I would say neutral is getting closer, but it's not necessarily the definition. Alicia, do you have an idea?
it means like the sentence says that they were apprehensive about what did the sentence say? The sentence said that they were apprehensive about
Taking time off.
they were like denying it, like they didn't want to.
Okay, they didn't want to. So we're getting an idea, but let's go ahead and keep reading. We read the sentence it was in. You can also read the sentence before and the sentence after. So the sentence after says, some may be concerned that taking time off will place a burden on co-workers. Okay, so does that help us figure it out anymore? They may not want to take time off because it's not really the normal thing to do. And then not only is it kind of not the normal thing to do, which makes them apprehensive, they might get concerned about taking time off. So if I'm looking at that sentence, to me, those kind of seem similar.
Where's apprehension concerned?
Good, yeah, so maybe.
Yeah, that does make sense. Workers are concerned about the reaction of their. So I feel that word.
Exactly, perfect. So yeah, if you look at those two sentences, they're very similar. And so concerned and apprehensive probably means pretty similar
Can
things.
I put an arrow through here? Like that word?
Yeah, that would be great. Say, remember that annotations, like he said in the video, make them your own. Do what works for you. It doesn't have to follow like a set way.
Okay.
Okay, so like for me, I have like a code that I use in my head that I started in college once I started annotating. I never really learned how before that, and never really needed it because it wasn't hard until college. But I came up with this own system in my head. So like I know if I see a circle, it means I don't know what it means. I know if it's underlined, I know it's important. If I put a question mark, it means I was confused. And then I'll write the question of, what does this mean? Or, well, why would he do that? I don't. So the question beside my confusion. So you can come up with your own system. The annotation notes were just some guidelines. So, all right, good job using those context clues to figure out the meaning of apprehensive. So now that we went ahead and fixed up that confusion, we're going to go ahead and continue reading. So, starting with some may be concerned. Some may be concerned that taking time off will place a burden on coworkers, which may alienate them And some may worry that taking time off will cast doubt on the employee's allegiance to the company. Another factor may be that Japanese workers must use their vacation time for sick days, which means workers often save 2 or 3 vacation days for fear of catching a cold or some other minor illness that results in them having to stay home. Said you, again, I'm just going to sound out the words. I'm not entirely sure the correct pronunciation, but if I break the word down, it looks like wake and be, so I'm just going to say wake-a-bee. So you, wake-a-bee, the Health and Labor Ministry official overseeing such standards. And I didn't understand what I just read right there, since I had to stop and clarify how to pronounce that word, so I'm going to go back and reread that sentence one more time. So again, another factor may be that Japanese workers must use their vacation time for sick days, which means workers often save 2 or 3 vacation days for fear of catching a cold or some other minor illness that results in them having to stay home, said you, wake-a-bee, the Health and Labor Ministry official overseeing such standards. Okay, so that was just him. So now I'm kind of summarizing on the side. Alright, that was our third thing that we said we could annotate for. Or paraphrasing, I'm putting it into my own words. So in my head I'm going, okay, so pretty much just what he's saying is workers don't take time off so they can save days. And I know I do the same thing. Again, I'm making a connection. Me too. Even if I have 10 sick days, I always try to save at least 2 or 3 in case I get all of a sudden actually sick and can't literally get out of bed and make it to school. I'll at least have some days to fall back on. So I do the same thing.
Wait, so you for real only get like 10 days off? Like,
I'm being for real, yes.
Like, you can't get no time off after?
No.
So you have to go to school?
Yes. I'm sure
obligation to come.
To tell you the truth, I mean, if there was like an emergency, I'm sure I could take off and it would just be unpaid leave. Like, I just wouldn't get paid. So I would
so the 10 days are paid leave?
Yes.
And then the rest that you miss is just with you, like you don't get paid more?
I wouldn't get paid for those days I missed. But also, I mean, again, I'm modeling that making connections reading strategy. I'm kind of activating my own knowledge as I'm reading the text to get a better understanding. And I'm being for real with you guys. And so with the 10 days, talking about that, I would never go over the 10 days. Like, I wouldn't.
I'm trying to get 20 days, that's crazy.
Unless, like I said, I just literally, like, it was completely unavoidable, but I would just think that's a little unprofessional. There's no need for me to take more days.
What that says is workers don't take any days off.
I said that they don't like to. So I just put in my own words and made it short, since it was just an annotation, and I could make it longer if I wanted. But again, the annotations are your own, so as long as you can understand your margin notes, that's all that matters. And so my margin note is just a reminder to me, kind of saying, oh, I do the same thing. I don't like to take all my days off because I want to save them, just in case I actually do get sick. So that's one reason why Japanese workers don't take time off, for fear that they might actually get sick. So maybe that could be a piece of evidence. I'm kind of giving you a hint of what's to come. You might want to mark that. So moving on with chunk number 7. It says Wakeby himself took only 5 days of respite. So there's one of our vocab words right there, respite, meaning rest. So Wakeby himself took only 5 days of respite from work in 2014, one of them for staying home with a cold. He did manage to take a vacation to Hawaii with his family, however. Oh, how wonderful. He got to spend at least some time with his family. That's good. Japanese workers also tend to work long days. About 22% of Japanese workers put in more than 49 hours a week, compared with 16% of Americans and 11% of the French and Germans. So I'm going to mark that fact, because again, I said I know I'm going to have to respond in writing. I know I'm going to have to use text evidence in my writing. And this seems like a really good piece of text evidence. It really kind of answers that question of what is working too hard. From looking at this, I can see that 22% of Japanese workers compared to 16% of Americans. So Japanese workers overall work harder than Americans, and the French and the Germans. So overall, the Japanese culture, it seems like they work harder than us or a lot of other countries too. So they do work hard, answering my question. And this was according to data compiled by the Japanese government. So moving on, chunk number 9. Still, this dedication to work takes its toll on Japanese workers. It can be a struggle to find time for friends and family. In addition, constant work can lead to health problems, including heart attacks and depression. I'm like really freaked out about having a heart attack because I could totally see that happening. I drink too many energy drinks. And depression, health problems. So I'm going to start again. I'm marking my evidence. These are all reasons why. So I'm actually going to write that in my margin notes. Reasons why workers should take time off. And I'm doing this so I can navigate the text more easily whenever I go back to dig a little bit deeper and to respond in writing. Up until this point, they've kind of been, and now I'm taking a step back, and I'm almost doing the second reading. Up until this point, the author has really just been describing kind of the problem. So thinking about text structure, they presented the problem. They also have the question, why don't Japanese workers take time off? So there's this question, why they don't take time off. And now we're shifting kind of to another big idea in the text. It's shifting to reasons why they should take time off. So I have my reasons why they don't. Now they're giving the reasons why they should.
Wait, so these are the reasons why for 8 and 9?
Yes.
Wait, so I'm thinking that I could probably mark for where that question is, section 8 and 9 answer.
Good. Perfect. And that's exactly what I know. It's hard for me to do the annotations and see that it's in the window. But notice how, yeah, I circled this several times because that was a shift. Before that, it was the problem, and I wrote down the side. Now we're moving on to another big idea. They're going to give evidence. Evidence. Remember, we're looking for evidence. That's our focus for today's lesson.
Wait, miss, are we gonna get like questions on this or something? Or
Yes,
just
you
reading?
are. You are going to get questions, yes. Like a T3000. So here's the evidence for why they don't take time off. Then here's the evidence for why they should take time off. So I'm kind of breaking the text down into these different sections and kind of labeling it. So again, I can see how those parts are all working together, and I can navigate the text more quickly. So I'm going to go ahead, we're almost done. There's only a couple more chunks here. So going to the back, it says as a result, so this kind of shows me cause and effect, the reasons why they should. And because of the reasons why they should, the result of that is that change may be on the horizon. In early 2015, lawmakers proposed new legislation. There was that word that meant rules that we figured out with context clues earlier. Proposed new legislation or new rules and laws that would ensure workers get the rest they need. One plan requires workers to take at least 5 days of paid vacation each year. And again, that's kind of evidence, so I'm marking it. While another proposal limits how much overtime pay some workers can receive. So that's another reason. If they limit how much overtime pay you can receive, like if they told me I get 10 sick days and I have to take 5 days off, that no matter what, I will not get paid for those 5 days. I'm sorry, but I'm probably not going to come in. Like if I'm not getting paid for it, I'm probably going to do some other things that I need to do, right? So that's kind of like a big incentive. If you don't get paid for working, then I think that would definitely persuade some of the workers to maybe take their time off. So without the promise of overtime pay, supporters allege, again, our vocab word, employees will presumably not devote as many extra hours to working. but others maintain that the legislation